Ever wonder what it's like to be born into extreme wealth in Dubai? Imagine having a $1 million sneaker collection at age 15 or your own private jet before you can legally drive. For Dubai's richest kids, that's just everyday life. Let's count down the 10 most insanely wealthy young royals and see how they spend their fortunes. Rashed Belhassa. Let's kick things off with number 10 on our list of Dubai's richest kids, Rashed Belhassa, aka Money Kicks. This guy's living large thanks to his dad's massive construction empire, Saif Belhassa Holding. We're talking about over 50 companies and 10,000 employees. But Richest ain't sitting back and living off daddy's money. Nah, he's made a name for himself as a social media superstar. First up, let's talk about his insane sneaker collection. This 15-year-old's got kicks worth over $1 million. Yeah, you heard that right. $1 million just chilling on his shoe racks. We're not talking about your average Nikes here. Rashed's got signed 2004 Air Jordan 13s from Michael Jordan himself. And those Nike Air Yeezy 2 Red Octobers, they go for $15,000 a pair. That's more than some people's cars. But shoes are just the start. Rashed's killing it on social media with 2 million Instagram followers and over 3 million YouTube subscribers. His content, just him living his best life and hanging out with celebs. No big deal. Now get this. Most rich kids might have a dog or a cat, maybe a horse if they're fancy. But Rashed, he's got a whole private zoo. We're talking about over 500 exotic animals, lions, tigers, giraffes, you name it. And these aren't just any animals. Rashed rescued a lot of them from bad situations. He's even got some with designer names. There's a lion called VAI and orangutans named Gucci and Dior. Fancy, right? This zoo ain't open to the public, but that doesn't mean it doesn't get visitors. Celebs like Mariah Carey and Floyd Mayweather have stopped by to check it out. Imagine chilling with a giraffe one minute and a world-famous boxer the next. That's just a regular Tuesday for Rashed. Now you might be thinking, a private zoo, that's gotta cost a fortune. And you'd be right. Public zoos can cost millions to set up, and just feeding all those animals can run hundreds of thousands every year. But for Rashed, that's pocket change. When it comes to cars, Rashed doesn't do basic. He's got a Ferrari EF12 Berlinetta. But that wasn't flashy enough on its own. He had it wrapped in Louis Vuitton and Supreme print. Oh, and did we mention he got it for his birthday? There's also a Cadillac Escalade with a Yeezy print wrap, because why not, right? But the craziest thing in Rashed's collection might not be a car or an animal, it's a bottle of perfume. Not just any perfume though. We're talking about Sheikh, the world's most expensive perfume. This thing cost nearly $1.3 million and holds a Guinness World Record for the most diamonds on a perfume bottle. Imagine spending more on a scent than most people spend on a house. Rashed's life is so over the top it's hard to believe. But here's the crazy part. He's just number 10 on our list. That means there are 9 more kids living even wilder lives. We're talking about young royals who make Rashed look like he's living on a budget. Marwan bin Mohammed Al Maktoum. This guy's only 23, but he's already got $1 billion net worth. Yeah, you heard that right. $1 billion with a B. Marwan ain't just sitting on his pile of cash though. He's the vice chairman of Emaar Properties, one of the biggest real estate development companies in the UAE. Ever heard of the Burj Khalifa? That's Emaar. The Dubai Mall, also Emaar. This company's basically reshaping Dubai's skyline, and Marwan's right at the top. But here's where it gets really interesting. Marwan's not content with just one business. He also co-founded Schwar Capital, a financial institution where he owns a quarter of the company. Talk about diversifying your portfolio. Now, let's talk about his toys. Marwan's got a car collection that'd make most people's jaws drop. We're talking over $10 million worth of luxury rides. He's got multiple Lamborghinis, because why have just one? And Bugattis? You bet. But the crown jewel might be his Rolls-Royce Phantom Drophead Coupe. That thing alone is worth more than $500,000. But cars are just the start. Marwan's crib is something else entirely. He's got a waterfront villa that's worth nearly $7 million. 7 bedrooms, 8 bathrooms, 2 pools, and 3 fountains. It's like a mini resort all to himself, and that's just one of his properties. Now you might be thinking, sure, but how does this compare to Rashed's zoo? Well, while Rashed's feeding lions and tigers, Marwan's out here shaping the future of Dubai. The projects he's involved in with Emaar are changing the face of the city. We're talking about skyscrapers, luxury hotels, and entire neighborhoods. And here's the kicker. Marwan's doing all this at 23. Most people his age are still figuring out what to do with their lives, and he's already got a seat at the table with some of the most powerful business leaders in the Middle East. But don't think for a second that Marwan's all work and no play. When he's not in board meetings or overseeing construction projects, you might find him cruising around in one of his supercars or relaxing in his multi-million-dollar villa. And get this, Marwan's not even close to being the richest kid on our list. That $1 billion net worth, it's pocket change compared to some of the other young royals we're gonna talk about. So what's next for Marwan? With his business acumen and the resources at his disposal, sky's the limit. He could be the guy who turns Dubai into the next big tech hub, or maybe he'll focus on sustainable development and make Dubai a model for eco-friendly cities of the future. One thing's for sure though, whatever Marwan decides to do, it's gonna be big. And expensive. Really, really expensive. Zayed bin AlMakum. This guy's got a cool $2 billion to his name, and he's not even the richest kid on our list. Zayed's not just any rich kid, he's the son of Shikh Muhammad Bin Rashid Al Maktoum, the big boss of Dubai. But Zayed ain't sitting around waiting for his inheritance. He's out there making moves of his own. He's the vice chairman and managing director at Abdullah Jameel Holding. Now you might be thinking, what's that? Well, it's only one of the biggest companies in the Middle East. They've got their fingers in everything from cars to real estate to energy. Basically, if it makes money, they're probably involved. But let's talk about what really sets Zayed apart, his watch collection. This guy's wrist game is on another level. We're not talking about your average Rolex here. Zayed's got limited edition pieces from Cartier and Hublot that'll make your jaw drop. Imagine dropping hundreds of thousands of dollars on a single watch. For most people, that's crazy talk. For Zayed, it's just another Tuesday. He's got watches that are worth more than some people's houses. One of his favorites is a Cartier Santos Dumont XL. This ain't your grandpa's Cartier. It's a limited edition piece with a platinum case and a hand-wound movement. Only 100 of these bad boys were ever made. And Zayed, he's got one sitting in his collection like it's no big deal. But Cartier's just the start. Zayed's also got a thing for Hublot. He's been spotted wearing a Hublot Big Bang Unico King Gold Blue. This watch is basically a work of art for your wrist. It's made of 18K gold and has a see-through dial, so you can watch all the tiny gears working. Price tag, over $40,000. Now you might be thinking, sure, watches are nice, but what else does this guy do? Well, when Zayed's not busy running a multi-billion-dollar company or adding to his watch collection, he's out there living his best life. We're talking about exclusive travel experiences that most people can only dream about. Zayed doesn't just go on vacation, he goes on adventures. Private islands? Check. Luxury resorts that cost more per night than some people make in a month? Double check. Imagine waking up on a secluded beach with a personal butler ready to cater to your every need. For Zayed, that's just a normal morning. He's been known to rent out entire resorts just for himself and his friends. Because why share paradise with strangers when you can have it all to yourself? But here's the thing about Zayed. Despite all this luxury, he's not just about showing off. He's actually pretty low-key for a billionaire. You won't find him bragging about his wealth on social media like some other rich kids. Instead, Zayed's more focused on business and building his own legacy. He's not content with just being known as the Sheikh's son. He wants to make a name for himself in the business world, and he's doing a pretty good job of it. Under his leadership, Abdullah Jameel Holding has expanded into new markets and sectors. They're not just selling cars anymore, they're investing in cutting-edge technologies and sustainable energy solutions. Zayed's got his eyes on the future. He's not just thinking about his next watch purchase or vacation spot. He's thinking about how to shape the future of Dubai and the entire Middle East. But don't think for a second that Zayed's all work and no play. When he's not in the boardroom, you might find him cruising around Dubai in one of his luxury cars or jetting off to some exotic location for a weekend getaway. Hamdan Bin Rashid Al Maktoum. This ain't just some trust fund, baby. Hamdan's got a net worth of $19.1 billion. That's billion with a B. He's so loaded, he's sitting pretty at number 36 on Forbes' list of billionaires. But here's the kicker. He didn't just inherit all this cash. Hamdan's out here making moves. See, Hamdan's the head of his family's construction company, and we're not talking about some mum-and-pop operation. This company pulls in around $7 billion in revenue every year. That's more money than some small countries make. But here's where it gets really interesting. Hamdan's wealth has shot up like a rocket thanks to some sweet government contracts. We're talking about going from $1 billion to over $19 billion. That's some serious growth. Now you might be thinking, sure, he's good at business, but what about his personal life? Well, buckle up, because Hamdan knows how to live large. Let's start with his car collection. This guy's garage is like a who's who of luxury rides. We're talking Bugattis, Ferraris, and Rolls-Royces, but these ain't your average luxury cars. Nah, Hamdan's got some of the rarest models out there. The kind of cars that make other millionaires jealous. But cars are just the start. Hamdan's got a mansion that'll make your jaw drop. We're talking about a place with its own private helipad. Yeah, you heard that right. This guy can hop out of bed and be in his helicopter in minutes. The mansion's also got a massive swimming pool and gardens so big you could get lost in them. And if you thought Zayed was into watches, wait till you hear about Hamdan. This guy's got a watch collection that'd make a Swiss banker blush. We're talking about the kind of timepieces that cost more than most people's houses. But Hamdan ain't just about fancy cars and expensive watches. When he's not making billion-dollar deals, he likes to kick back and relax. And by relax, I mean cruise around on his luxury yacht or compete in major equestrian events. Yeah, you heard that right. Hamdan's big into horses. He's not just watching from the sidelines either. This guy competes in some of the biggest equestrian events around the world. It's like he's living in two different worlds. One where he's a hardcore businessman and another where he's a professional athlete. Now, you might be wondering how a guy like this got started. Well, here's a fun fact for you. Hamdan actually dropped out of Harvard, but don't go thinking he's not smart. This guy showed his business skills early on when he founded Future Prowess Consultancy. That's a multi-million-dollar investment firm that focuses on tech. Sheikh Abdullah bin Zayed bin Sultan Al Nahyan. This guy's a member of Abu Dhabi's ruling family with a net worth of $500 million. That's right, $500 million. Now you might think Abdullah's just another rich kid living off his family's money, but you'd be wrong. This guy's got his fingers in all kinds of pies, especially when it comes to tech. But before we get into that, let's talk about his toys. Abdullah's got a car collection that'd make most millionaires jealous. We're talking about some of the rarest and most expensive rides on the planet. His garage is home to a Bugatti Veyron, one of the fastest production cars ever made. This beast can hit speeds over 250 miles per hour and costs around $2 million. But that's not even his most expensive ride. That honor goes to his Ferrari LaFerrari. Only 499 of these were ever made, and they sell for over $3 million each. It's basically a street-legal race car with almost 1,000 horsepower. Imagine pulling up to a stoplight in that thing. But cars are just the start. Abdullah's crib is something else entirely. He's got a mansion in Emirates Hills, one of the most exclusive neighborhoods in Dubai. This place is insane. We're talking about a house with its own private cinema. Yeah, you heard that right. Abdullah doesn't go to the movies, he brings the movies to him. And don't even get me started on the swimming pool. This ain't your average backyard pool. It's more like a private water park. You could probably fit a whole yacht in there if you wanted to. Now you might be thinking, sure, he's got nice stuff, but what does he actually do? Well, that's where things get really interesting. Abdullah ain't just sitting around enjoying his wealth. He's out there shaping the future of Dubai and the whole UAE. See, Abdullah's big into tech investments. He's got a key role at Mubadala Development Company, which is basically the UAE's way of investing in the future. They're pumping billions into cutting-edge tech, from artificial intelligence to renewable energy. This ain't just about making more money. Abdullah and his team are trying to turn the UAE into a global tech hub. They want to be the next Silicon Valley, but with way more sand and way fancier cars. One of their big focuses is on AI. They're investing in companies that are developing self-driving cars, smart cities, and even AI-powered healthcare. Imagine a city where your car drives itself, your house knows when you're coming home and turns on the AC, and doctors can diagnose diseases before you even feel sick. That's the kind of future Abdullah's trying to build. But it's not all about flashy tech. Abdullah's also putting money into education and renewable energy. They're building some of the biggest solar farms in the world out in the desert, and they're setting up programs to train the next generation of tech geniuses right there in the UAE. This is some next-level thinking. Most rich kids are happy to just enjoy their wealth. But Abdullah's out here trying to change the world. He's not just spending money, he's investing in the future. And here's the really crazy part. All this tech stuff, it's just scratching the surface of what Abdullah's involved in. He's also got a hand in real estate, healthcare, and even aerospace. This guy's portfolio is more diverse than most people's friend groups. But don't think for a second that Abdullah's all work and no play. When he's not busy trying to turn Dubai into a sci-fi utopia, you might find him cruising around in one of his supercars or chilling in his private cinema. Sheikh Muhammad bin Hamad Althani. This guy's got a net worth of $8.4 billion. That's more than the GDP of some small countries. Mohammed ain't just another rich kid. He's the deputy chairman of the Qatar Investment Authority. That's basically Qatar's piggy bank, and it's worth over $450 billion. Yeah, you heard that right. Billions with a B. Now, you might be thinking, sure, he's good with money, but what does he spend it on? Well, let me tell you, Mohammed knows how to live large. First up, his car collection. This ain't your average millionaire's garage. Mohammed's got some of the rarest and most expensive rides on the planet. We're talking about limited edition supercars that most people only see in magazines. One of his favorites is a Koenigsegg Agera RS. Only 25 of these were ever made, and they sell for around $2.5 million each. It's basically a rocket on wheels, hitting speeds over 270 miles per hour. Imagine pulling up to a stoplight in that thing. But that's not even his most expensive ride. Mohammed's also got a Bugatti La Voiture Noire. This is a one-of-a-kind car that cost $18.7 million. That's right, $18.7 million for a single car. You could buy a whole fleet of Ferraris for that kind of money. And get this, Mohammed doesn't just collect these cars, he shows them off. He's a regular at exclusive car shows around the world. We're talking about events where the parking lot looks like a supercar dealership, but cars are just the start. Mohammed's got a real estate portfolio that'd make most property tycoons jealous. He's got mansions in Doha and London, and we're not talking about your average luxury homes. His place in Doha is basically a palace. It's got more rooms than some hotels, a private cinema, and a swimming pool that's bigger than most people's houses. And the gardens? You could probably fit a whole golf course in there. His London pad ain't too shabby either. It's in One Hyde Park, one of the most expensive apartment buildings in the world. A single flat in this place can cost over $100 million. And Mohammed, he's got the penthouse. Now you might be thinking, okay, he's got nice cars and fancy houses. What else? Well, let me tell you about his watch collection. Mohammed's got timepieces that cost more than most people's retirement savings. We're talking about watches from brands like Patek Philippe and A. Lange and Sona. These ain't your average Rolexes. One of his favorites is a Patek Philippe Grandmaster chime. This watch is so complicated it's got 20 different functions. And the price tag, $31 million. Yeah, you read that right. $31 million for a watch. But here's the thing about Mohammed, he ain't just collecting this stuff to show off. He's got a real appreciation for craftsmanship. Whether it's cars, houses, or watches, he's always looking for the best of the best. And that same eye for quality, he brings it to his day job too. As deputy chairman of the Qatar Investment Authority, Mohammed's responsible for investing billions of dollars. And he ain't just throwing money around, he's making smart moves that are shaping the global economy. Under his leadership, the QIA's made some big plays. They've invested in everything from luxury hotels to tech startups. They own parts of companies you use every day, like Volkswagen and Barclays Bank. But Mohammed ain't content with just making money. He's using his wealth and influence to shape the future of Qatar. The QIA's investing heavily in education and healthcare, trying to build a knowledge-based economy that'll last long after the oil runs out. Zed Althani, he's the big boss at Qatar Holding LLC. That's the company that invests Qatar's money all around the globe. But he's not just playing with his own country's cash. Zayed's also got seats on the boards of some major international corporations. British American Tobacco? He's there. Deutsche Bank? Yep, he's got a say in that too. Now, let's talk about his toys. Zayed's got a car collection that'd make most billionaires jealous. The crown jewel? A Bugatti Chiron. This thing's got 1,500 horsepower and can hit speeds over 260 miles per hour. Price tag, about $3 million. But that's just the start. He's also got a Ferrari LaFerrari. Only 499 of these were ever made. It's basically a street-legal race car, 0 to 60 in less than 3 seconds. And the cost? Over $1 million when it first came out. But with only 499 in the world, you can bet it's worth way more now. But Zayed ain't just about fast cars, he's also got a Rolls-Royce Phantom. This thing's like a luxury hotel room on wheels, custom leather, real wood trim, and a ceiling with fiber optic lights that look like stars. It's the kind of car that says, I'm not just rich, I'm royalty. Now you might be thinking, sure, he's got nice cars, but where does he park them? Well, let me tell you about Zayed's crib. He's got a mansion in Doha that's more like a small resort. We're talking multiple swimming pools, a private cinema, and probably more bathrooms than your whole neighborhood combined. But here's the thing, Zayed doesn't just have one fancy house. He's got properties all over the world. There's a penthouse in London with views of the Thames, a beachfront property in Malibu where he can watch the sunset over the Pacific. This guy's real estate portfolio is probably worth more than some small countries. When Zayed's not jetting around the world for business or checking on his properties, he's indulging in his other passion, watches. This guy's got a collection that'd make a Swiss banker jealous. We're talking about timepieces that cost more than most people's houses. Each one's a work of art you can wear on your wrist. But don't think Zayed's all work and no play. When he was growing up, he had the kind of childhood most of us can only dream about. Polo lessons, check. Private scuba diving trips, you bet. For Zayed, that was just a normal Tuesday. These days, Zayed's social life is just as luxurious as everything else. He's always at the most exclusive events, rubbing elbows with other billionaires and world leaders. Imagine going to parties where everyone's net worth is in the billions. That's Zayed's world. But here's what sets Zayed apart from some other rich kids. He's not just spending daddy's money. This guy's out there making moves in the business world. He's shaping global finance from the boardrooms of some of the biggest companies on earth. When Zayed talks, billionaires listen. Sheikh Hammad Bin Khalifa Althani. This guy's not just rich, he's got enough cash to buy a small country with a jaw-dropping net worth of $8 billion. But Hammad ain't about hoarding his wealth. Nah, he's out here trying to change the world. First, let's talk about his lifestyle, cause it's next level. Hammad's got a car collection that'd make most billionaires jealous. We're talking Bugattis, Koenigsegg's, and Paganis. These ain't your average luxury rides. Each one's worth millions and there's probably only a handful in the world. But cars are just the start. Hammad's got his own fleet of private jets. Yeah, you heard that right. Not just one jet, but a whole fleet. When this guy travels, he's not waiting in line at the airport. He's got planes bigger than some people's houses, decked out with gold fixtures and leather seats that cost more than most cars. And speaking of houses, Hammad's got mansions all over the globe. There's the palace in Doha that's more like a small city. It's got its own mosque, multiple swimming pools, and probably more rooms than some hotels. But that's just his home base. He's also got a place in London that takes up a whole city block. In Paris, he owns a mansion right on the Champs-Élysées. And don't even get me started on his properties in the US. This guy's real estate portfolio is worth more than most countries' GDPs. But here's where Hammad gets really interesting. He ain't just sitting on his pile of cash or buying more toys. Nah, he's using his wealth to make a difference. Hammad's big into education. He's set up scholarships that send hundreds of students to top universities around the world every year. We're talking Oxford, Harvard, MIT, the kind of schools most people can only dream about. And he's not just paying for tuition. These scholarships cover everything from books to living expenses. But Hammad's not stopping at education. He's also pumping millions into healthcare. He's built hospitals, funded research, and even set up programs to fly people from developing countries to Qatar for life-saving treatments. One of his biggest projects, a cutting-edge orthopedic and sports medicine hospital in Doha. This place is so high-tech, it's like something out of a sci-fi movie. They've got robots assisting in surgeries and rehab equipment that looks like it's from the future. And get this, Hammad's also working on bringing some of the world's top medical schools to Qatar. He's partnered with places like Weill Cornell Medicine to set up satellite campuses in Doha. The goal? To train the next generation of doctors right there in the Middle East. But Hammad ain't just throwing money at problems. He's got a whole strategy for improving life in Qatar and beyond. He's investing in renewable energy, trying to diversify Qatar's economy away from oil, and working on making Doha a global hub for education and healthcare. Now you might be thinking, sure, he's doing good things, but with $8 billion, shouldn't he be doing more? Well, here's the thing. Hammad's not just writing checks, he's actively involved in these projects. He's meeting with world leaders, sitting in on board meetings, and personally overseeing some of these initiatives. And let's not forget, this guy's a royal. He's got responsibilities that go way beyond just being rich. He's involved in shaping Qatar's future, from its foreign policy to its economic strategy. Sheikh Muhammad bin Rashid Al Maktoum. We've seen some crazy wealth, but Sheikh Muhammad bin Rashid Al Maktoum takes it to a whole new level. This guy's not just rich, he's the vice president and prime minister of the UAE with a net worth over $14 billion. That's more money than some small countries. But Muhammad ain't just sitting on his pile of cash. He's out here reshaping Dubai and the whole UAE. This guy's got his fingers in everything from real estate to tech to infrastructure. When Muhammad makes a move, the whole world feels it. Let's talk about his properties. Muhammad's got palaces that make Buckingham look like a starter home. His main crib, Zabil Palace, is like a small city. We're talking hundreds of rooms, multiple swimming pools, and probably more bathrooms than your whole neighborhood combined. But that's nothing compared to his private islands. Yeah, you heard that right. Islands, plural. He's got a bunch of man-made islands off the coast of Dubai. Ever heard of the Palm Jumeirah? That's his. It's shaped like a giant palm tree and you can see it from space. That's the kind of flex only a multi-billionaire ruler can pull off. Muhammad's also got a place called Endurance Village. It's not just a house, it's a whole complex dedicated to his love of endurance horse racing. Imagine having so much money you can build an entire village just for your hobby. Now you might be thinking, sure, he's got nice stuff, but what's he actually doing with all that money? Well, hold on to your hats, because Muhammad's not just spending cash, he's investing in the future. He's pumping billions into making Dubai a global tech hub. We're talking smart cities, AI, blockchain, all the cutting-edge stuff. Muhammad wants Dubai to be the Silicon Valley of the Middle East, and he's got the cash to make it happen. But it's not just about tech. Muhammad's also big on infrastructure. He's behind some of the craziest building projects you've ever seen. The Burj Khalifa, that's his. It's the tallest building in the world, and it's just the start. He's also building a whole new city called Dubai Creek Harbor. This place is gonna make Manhattan look like a small town. We're talking about the world's tallest twin towers, a massive new airport, and enough housing for like 1 million people. And get this, Muhammad's not just building for humans, he's also creating the world's largest man-made wildlife reserve. It's gonna be bigger than some countries and home to thousands of animals. This guy's thinking big in every way possible. But here's what really sets Muhammad apart. He's not just spending money on flashy projects, he's got a vision for Dubai and the whole UAE. He wants to turn it into a global hub for business, tourism, and innovation. He's set up free trade zones to attract international companies. He's invested in renewable energy to prepare for a post-oil future. And he's pumping money into education to create a skilled workforce. Muhammad's even got plans to colonize Mars. Yeah, you heard that right. He wants the UAE to be the first Arab country to send people to the Red Planet. This guy's thinking beyond Earth, let alone Dubai.